How to Train Your Dragon is turning 15 years old this year, and with the live action on its way, I thought let's go back and discuss why the first movie in the franchise is so goddamn perfect. This isn't just another recap, plenty of people have done that already. Instead, we're going to break down why this movie is crafted so incredibly. From its storytelling, foreshadowing, and its dialogue to its world building and character arc are my 4 phases, and this is why How to Train Your Dragon 1 is the start of a stated trilogy. Despite being the chieftain's son, Hiccup Horrendous Haddock III is treated like a nobody in the village. He's scrawny, terrible at wielding weapons, and let's be real, a pretty lousy dragon killer. The village sees him as a nuisance, an outcast who fails to live up to his father's vastly massive legacy. Get it? Massive? Because Stoic the Vast? Christ, my comedy is getting worse. On a quick note, I just want to discuss how the narration immediately draws you in, making you feel like it's your first day on Berk, which of course it is. Hiccup's voiceover is so well executed, giving us everything we need about him. The world and his struggles in just a few lines, the cinematography and choreography in the opening battle and scene of the movie are incredible. The way the camera moves throughout the chaos of Berk's dragon raids makes you feel like you're right there in the middle of the action. The world is dangerous, dragons are perceived as monsters, and the people of Berk are hardened warriors, except for one. Desperate for validation, he does the unthinkable. He shoots down the Night Fury, the most feared dragon in all of Berk, but of course nobody believes him because, well, he's Hiccup. Damn dude, you need a break. Through Jake Brackwell's narration, we get an immediate understanding of who Hiccup is, what he wants, and the challenges he faces. And then we get one of the most important moments of the film, the first encounter between Hiccup and Toothless. When Hiccup finally tracks down the downed Night Fury, he's face to face with his golden opportunity. This is it. The moment where he could prove himself, earn his father's approval, and gain the acceptance of the village. And what does he do? He lets the dragon go. This decision is everything. It's the moment Hiccup chooses to be himself rather than what society expects of him. It's not just a moral decision, it's a complete rejection of Berk's ideologies and Viking culture. This is later reinforced during the Monstrous Nightmare scene, where Hiccup drops his Viking helmet, a symbolic moment that visually represents his refusal to conform to the Viking culture and the traditions of violence. This theme of self-acceptance is woven into the entire film, and the way it's executed here is just chef's kiss. There's one scene that defines this movie, it's this one. We all know about forbidden friendship, no dialogue, no forced exposition, just trust being built through pure visual storytelling. The forbidden friendship sequence is one of the most beautifully animated moments in DreamWorks history. Hiccup and Toothless learning to trust each other without words makes their bond feel completely natural. There's something so simple yet profound in how Hiccup approaches Toothless, using gestures instead of words. It's a moment of genuine connection, one where neither is bound by expectations, only curiosity. And then there's the hand touch, that moment where Toothless moves forward to complete the gesture. That's the moment they become friends, and it's all perfectly underscored by John Powell's dreamlike score. This scene could be studied in film schools for how to convey emotion without dialogue. But speaking of music, let's discuss the music now. John Powell's score, legendary. This is Berk immediately sets the tone for an epic adventure. Forbidden friendship makes Hiccup and Toothless bond feel magical. Test Drive is arguably one of the best flying sequences in animation history. Romantic Flight also just consolidates and just shows Hiccup and Astrid's relationship. And the music is just what makes it so. I'm not going to go too much into this because we all know the music is fantastic. It isn't just great, it was Oscar nominated because it elevates the entire film to a whole new level. But that's enough about that. One of the most underrated aspects of How to Train Your Dragon 1 is how it gradually expands its world. It doesn't just dump exposition on us, it shows us through clever storytelling techniques. The Dragon Arena battle gives us insight into how dragons perceive Vikings, reinforcing their fear and aggression, whilst also giving lore about the world and these creatures that inhabit it. Then we get the Book of Dragons scene, which is pure world building gold. Not only does it introduce the different dragon species, but it also subtly hints that Berk is just part of a much larger world. This makes the movie feel expansive rather than contained. The variety of dragon breeds, from bird-like Deadly Nadders to cat and dog-like Night Furies, adds personality and charm to the world. This isn't just a bunch of dragons, each species has distinct identity, making the movie incredibly immersive. Especially when you see these dragons fight, these different fire types, they've just done an amazing job at adding these creatures in, but also making sure they don't blend in together. They're all separately unique. This movie is ridiculously clever when it comes to setting up future events. The Monstrous Nightmare chase scene at the start, that dragon is hyped up to be the most feared and hardest to kill beast within the dragons that they normally encounter. So what does this movie do? It puts Hiccup in a position where he has to kill one later. It's subtle but a brilliant setup. Then there's the line,
No more of this.
You just gestured to all of me.
which starts as an insult but transforms into admiration by the end of the movie.
This.
You just gestured to all of me.
It's a perfect full circle moment. Even when Rough Nut says, "You're crazy, I like that," to Hiccup, and then Astrid pulls her out the way, it just shows us her subtly warming up to Hiccup. It subtly foreshadows their eventual relationship. Stoic is often seen as the film's antagonist, but that's not really true. He's just a stubborn leader. He's a father who doesn't know how to connect with his son. He generally wants to understand Hiccup, but struggles because they're fundamentally different. His loss of Valka, which we don't learn about until How to Train Your Dragon 2, adds extra layer to his struggles. Hiccup is so much like his mother, and Stoic sees that, and he doesn't even realise it. The way he slowly begins to accept Son's worldview is one of the most emotional arcs in the movie.
You're throwing your lot in with them. You're not a Viking. You're not my son.
Their final moment before the Red Death battle is gut-wrenching. Stoic telling Hiccup, "I'm proud to call you my son," is an emotional climax of the movie.
I'm proud to call you my son.
The comedy is fantastic in this first movie. I wish it was maintained throughout the trilogy. 2 is my favourite, but 2 and 3, the side characters are a little too much, but still funny nonetheless. This movie has Gobber. Gobber is literally my favourite character in the movie for comedy. However, I also love Hiccup's sarcasm. They're amazing. My first laugh in the movie is at the start when the Viking goes, "Morning!" And don't even get me started on Gobber's sock joke. The first time it's just funny, the second time when you realise he only has one left foot, genius. The film rewards rewatchers by planting small details that pay off beautifully. Here's some of my favourite lines.
Keeping this much raw Vikingness contained, there will be consequences.
I'll take my chances.
Okay, but I hit a Night Fury. Between you and me, the village could do with a little less feeding, don't you think?
Excuse me, barmaid. I'm afraid you brought me the wrong offspring. I ordered an extra large boy with beefy arms, extra guts and glory on the side. This is a talking fish bone.
It's not so much what you look like, it's what's inside that he can't stand.
Thank you for summing that up.
I take him fishing and he goes hunting for trolls.
Trolls exist!
Father told me to bang my head against a rock, and I did it. And you know what happened?
You got a headache.
Ow! Mother would have wanted you to have it. It's half of her breastplate.
For a villain with zero dialogue, the Red Death is terrifying. She's massive, ancient, and pure destruction incarnate. But what makes her even more compelling is her role in the story. She's not just an obstacle for the heroes, she's the reason that the war between Vikings and dragons even exists. She's the source of the conflict. The fact that all the dragons are essentially enslaved to her, forced to bring her food or to be eaten, is what makes the final battle so satisfying. She's not just a villain to be defeated, she represents everything that needs to change in this world. When Hiccup and Toothless bring her down, they're not just winning a fight, they're breaking a cycle. But let's talk about that battle now. The Red Death fight is one of the best third acts in animation. Hiccup and Toothless don't win because they're heroes, they win because Hiccup learns from everything he's experienced throughout the movie. Remember that early line, "You're not so fireproof on the inside"? That wasn't just a throwaway line, it was foreshadowing the final battle. Hiccup uses everything he's learned, his training, his understanding, and his bond with Toothless and the Night Fury's power, to outsmart the Red Death and deliver a perfect setup and natural victory. It's clever, it's satisfying, and it's a kind of narrative payoff that makes this movie a storytelling masterclass. And then we get the final gut punch. Hiccup loses a leg. This movie's commitment to consequences make it stand out. The symmetry of both Hiccup losing his foot and Toothless losing his tail fin is poetic. It's not just for shock value, it reinforces the theme of equality. They are now one and the same, both having sacrificed something, both adapting together. It even symbolises a harmony between Vikings and dragons, the film's ultimate message. Nothing in this movie is accidental. It's a movie that respects its audience and rewards those who pay attention. Alright, now let's discuss my final thoughts. How to Train Your Dragon 1 isn't just a great animated movie, it's a masterclass in storytelling. This is why I believe it to be one of the best, if not the best, animated films. From emotionally powerful, visually breathtaking, flawless music, a timeless coming-of-age story, structured and perfectly written, the film isn't just one of the best animated movies ever, it's just one of the best movies, period. And if you haven't seen it yet, drop everything and go fix that now, or I will come after you. But that was just my thoughts. I didn't want to do a huge comprehensive insight into How to Train Your Dragon. I'm not the best at reviews, so this review might have turned out terribly. You guys let me know, but they were just my thoughts and opinions on why I like the movie personally, but that's the whole point of a review. If you enjoyed this breakdown, let me know in the comments, and if you want to support the channel, check out the Patreon. It helps me make videos faster. Anyways, like, subscribe, and turn on post notification videos, and send this to someone who needs to watch How to Train Your Dragon. With that said, Alphas, keep your hearts brave and flying high, and happy dragon training.